How do you move from reasoning to love? We all value reasoning so much. It's easy to utilize it for everything, even love, self-love, other love. And perhaps it can have some efficacy at times, which is why we use it. But reasoning itself, of course, is not divine love. What is divine love? Divine love is whatever happens outside of reasoning. So for us to begin to even take a step back from reasoning requires an awful lot of trust that there's something even there. So I wanted us to do a little meditation together where not only conceptually but experientially we understood the hows. How to move from reasoning to love. What is the hows for that? So let's get comfortable. Turn off any devices that may make sounds or distract us. We can do this with our eyes open. If you're at a point where you're wanting to cultivate this experience more with your eyes open, then I would encourage that. You can do it with your eyes closed. That can be easier. I would encourage that. First, let's realize that any thoughts that are in our mind is how we see the world. So any thought that arises, we view life through. Just that simple truth. Just that recognition allows us to, makes us scratch our head a little bit and maybe just step back a hair. We're not saying disregard thought. We're not saying thought is bad. We're not saying that we don't have to work through things. We're not saying we don't have to reason. However, just in this moment, if we're really wanting to understand the hows to move from reasoning to love, a divine love really, then let's consider this recognition. Whatever thoughts are there, we view life through them. What is it right behind that thought? What if we gave some of our attention to that? What is that? And it said, what is that? Not as a way to get an answer, although that can be helpful at times. But it can also jumble things. We ask the question, what is that? Not so much to get a response, but more so to direct our attention to that space. What is it behind the thought? And careful not to get caught up on words. Behind, it's not really accurate, but it is a way that we can use language. You could say aside from, you could say around, anywhere other or outside of thinking itself, reasoning itself. What is that? What is it that's immediately behind thinking? And after we kind of reach around in there for a while, without getting an answer, or maybe even touching for a moment a sense of greater wholeness, we might then pull our attention back out and view life in front of us, pulling some of that consciousness, some of that energy from that pool of divine love, of what's behind our thinking, out into this level of experience, out into the present moment, so to speak. What do things look like now? Now that we're not viewing the present moment, life, through the lens of thought, but rather accessed this pool and then brought our attention to the present moment. What does it look like? What does life look like now? And then watch as thought comes back in and colors the screen, which was clear just a moment ago, with this idea, whatever the thought is presenting. And as such now are viewing life again through thought. Just watch the thought as it comes back in after having viewed the moment or life clearly, as a result of dipping our toes in this pool of whatever's behind reasoning. So just watch the thought come back in and recolor what it's like to live a life. Redefine, reorient ourselves in time and space with our life situation and current scenario. Watch the reorienting happening. And then, not trying to push it away, being very diligent with our consciousness work, our stillness, just noticing. That's all we're really wanting to do. Just notice the difference. just notice the difference of viewing clearly after having touched the pool of what's behind reasoning, and what it's like when a thought comes back in to color what previously was clear. What is this clearness? Get curious about the clearness. Get curious about what this pool, so to speak, just behind our reasoning can provide. So after the thought comes in and recolors that which was previously clear, without pushing away, just noticing the difference, we can accept that that thought is there, and then again bring up the idea, the recognition that whatever thought is there, we view life or the moment through. So then we can get more curious again. Now that we are conscious of that thought we're viewing life through, let's just keep it there, but take a step back. What is it that's immediately prior? What is behind the thought? Again, not to get an answer, but just as a way to direct ourselves. We're asking the question. What is that pool? Which is really an infinite pool. But when we touch it, and then we look through our eyes, everything appears differently. We're no longer oriented in the ways we know life to be. We're no longer oriented in the archetype that is your character. We're no longer oriented time and space, and cause and effect. We are viewing life directly. But even more so than that, we're accessing love. But again, even more so than that, we're bringing that love here, into this level, into this present moment. We're bringing what is in what this eternal pool is into our lives, where we're conscious. We're bringing heaven to earth. And as heaven begins to spill over into earth more, we realize that it's all heaven. There is no distinction any longer between heaven and earth. We have become a bridge in which no longer will allow for a separation. We have found the how to move from reasoning to love. By building this bridge within our own consciousness. Then the key to begin to bring this into our lives and into our relationships and into our interactions is to keep our attention on this knowing of heaven, rather than our attention being on the knowing of our reasoning. I love you all.